From the preliminary task in front of you, what do you think is good about this product?
The one school dinner just seems flat. There's plenty of empty spaces where there's no writing, nothing. On the other one, contents page, it's everything's there, all the information you need, small gaps.
From the product you can see in front of you, what is good about this product?
I like the headline, the school dinner in white is very bold and it stands out against the picture on the first page.
What do you think could be improved?
I don't like the font of the headlines, they seem to disappear into the picture. And I think the star text is very small and is hard to read.
On the contents page in front of you for my preliminary task, what do you think is good about it?
I like the aspect of the side of the building and I like the colours of the photograph.
Okay. What do you think could be improved?
I think blue on blue, even though they're slightly different colours, is very difficult to read the text. And I think the font is actually too thin to stand out against the photograph.
Okay, thank you. Out of the possible article ideas in front of you, which would you say is your favourite and why?
My favourite one would be the Aidan Wolf International House Artist Review interview. The reason being, it's an insight into a international music star and how he lives.
Okay. Which one would you say you like the least?
The one I like the least would have to be Elliot Reed.
Why?
Niche artist. Is there really a big enough market for such a niche artist?
Okay, thank you. From the articles you can see in front of you, which one do you like the most?
I like the Aidan Wolf International House Artist interview, purely because I think that's quite a nice intro, and it's a good interview. I think it's quite in depth and it explains a lot about him.
Okay. What one do you like the least?
Don't really like the Ben Daniels, how he went from hero to zero with drug addiction. I think that's a bit. You can't really judge somebody on with the fact that they're addicted to drugs. That's not really related to his music ability. I don't really think that's a very good title or story. Really, I don't like that. It's quite sort of tabloidy.
Okay, thank you. In the diagram in front of you with cover lines, which cover lines do you prefer and why?
The ones I prefer are 101 songs you simply must listen to. Ones like that are always worth a read. And clearing up some blurred lines. Good use of a pun on the blurred line song.
Okay. Which cover lines do you not like?
She never saw it coming. Doesn't really explain what it's going to be about. It's too vague. It could be anything.
Okay, thank you. From the cover lines in front of you, which would you say are the best?
House is not just a music choice, it's a lifestyle. I think that's quite good because a lot of people do live their lives through music, and it is a lifestyle for a lot of people. They live and breathe music, so I think that's quite a good cover line. Another one that I quite like is find out how he came to be. I quite like that because I think that's it's quite an open-ended question, and it sort of entices the reader in to find out, oh, how did that happen then? I think that's quite nice as well.
Okay. Which cover lines don't you like?
Tricks to the Great Ticket Race. I think that's a little bit of a tongue twister. I don't think that's nice to read. It doesn't appeal to me.
Okay, thank you. From the fonts you can see in front of you, which would you say is your favourite?
I like the first font, which is top left, purely because it's more interesting than the others. I like the fact that it has the shading and a little bit of white in there, just to mix it up a bit. Just looks a little bit more interesting.
Okay. Which would you say is your least favourite?
I think the third one down, because it almost looks quite vintage and sort of not of a modern time. That would be sort of an almost Victoriana type look. It does have some detail inside it, but I think it's quite formed, and I think that would look wrong for the kind of magazine you're doing.
Okay, thank you. Out of the fonts in front of you, which would you say is your favourite?
My favourite, I would say first line top left is my favourite.
Okay, why?
It stands out. It's not thick black colour. It's got a bit of shade, bit of light in it.
Okay. Which font don't you like?
Yeah, definitely. Top line, top right.
Okay, why?
At a first glance, the letter C is so close together. At a glance, it looked like an O, and I think it would detract from the magazine if you can't really understand what the word means.
Okay, thank you. With the layouts in front of you, what one would you say is your favourite?
From the three layouts, I would choose layout 3, purely because I like the fact that you've developed the cover lines in it, and you've clearly defined the headings and where the website's going to go. If I look at the first layout that you did, the cover lines, the main image and the headlines all seems to be sort of a bit all over the place and a little bit not organised, and I think the third one just looks more like you know what you're doing.
Okay. Which one is your least favourite?
I would say the middle one, because there seems to be a lot of white space and it doesn't make best use of the page.
Okay, thank you. Out of the layouts you can see in front of you, which would you say is your favourite?
Number 3 seems to be the best of the 3. Yeah, I don't like number 1, and I don't like the way it's laid out number 2.
Why do you like number 3?
It just seems easier on the eye than the other two. The other two just seem boring.
Okay, thank you. Of the pictures in front of you, which would you say is the best for the front cover, contents page and double page spread?
I like them all, but for the front cover I definitely like number 1. I just think that the way he's standing looks very strong and is quite sort of model-esque. For the contents page, number 3, I think that he looks quite retro and quite sort of coolish, and I think that would be quite good for contents page. And also there's a lot of space around him, white space, so if you were going to put a lot of writing, that would be a good place to put it. And for the double page spread, I like number 5, because that actually looks like he's on stage and he's you know, waving at the crowds. I think that's quite a clever stance that he's got there.
Okay. Which do you think is the worst to use?
I don't like number 2. I think that looks too casual and sort of just a friend messing around kind of thing on the floor. I don't think that's a very professional pose in any way, and he's, you know, with his socks showing, it doesn't really do anything for me.
Okay, thank you. Out of the pictures you can see in front of you, Which pictures would you say are the best for the front cover, contents page, and double page spread?
Right. For the front cover, I'd say the first picture. And for the contents, I would say third picture. And for the centre page spread, I would say the fifth picture.
Why?
Why?
For the front cover.
For the front cover, first picture, the model looks dominating the picture, as opposed to some of the others. As opposed to say the sixth picture, the last one for the double page spread, he looks like he's just looking in the camera. Could be on holiday, could be anywhere.
Okay. So, which is your least favourite picture?
My least favourite would have to be 6.
For that same reason?
For that same reason, yeah, definitely.
Okay, thank you. From seeing my final product draft, what do you like about it?
I'm looking at the front cover, and I do like the headings, I must admit. I feel like the background is too light and the text doesn't really show up. I think you really need a much darker background, and it'd be cool if it was something a bit related to music, you know, that would make a difference. And if it was dark, then obviously the text would stand out on it. If I look at the contents page, I do actually like the contents page. Maybe change some of the fonts so they match something in the model's clothes so that it ties in. That would be quite nice. And on the double page spread, I really like the double page spread. I think that's just so clever, and I love the way, like, the guy on stage has got his arms out. I think that's brilliant, you know. I do think it needs some quotes from the man himself, you know, maybe a little bit bigger than the text, you know, things that are bringing the article to life. The photograph and the way you've laid it out is lovely, but I do think the text is a little bit wanting. It needs some eye-grabbing speech put in there, and maybe a little bit larger than the normal text.
Okay, thank you. So, if you look at my final product, draft 1, what do you like about it?
Well, it's pretty informative as to what's going to be inside for a front cover of a magazine. And, yeah, could do with one of the bad things about it is the plain white background. It needs a bit of colour. Other than that, maybe the turquoise blue font as well could be jazzed up a bit.
Okay, so definitely something to improve is the font colour and the background.
Definitely the background and the font colour, yeah.
Okay, thank you. If you look at my final product, what do you like about it?
Well, it's a lot better than the other one, for starters. What do I like about it? The fact that you've got the old-fashioned vinyl record in the background behind the model, especially since it's a record music magazine, blends in well. Even with the brickwork in the centre of the LP, especially as the magazine's about house music, house, bricks, flows in.
Okay. Do you think the amendments have made it better?
Definitely makes it stand out, especially with the font as well. Definitely.
Okay, thank you.